Hello, hello, hello. Today we are talking about the 10 picture books that I read my fifth graders in the month of December. And I'm filming this video right after they left for winter break. So this video is all that stands between me and winter break. So I might keep it brief, but I want to show you my new sweatshirt that I just got from a fifth grader. In case you were wondering, this is some information you may want. Mr. Sharp might be, is the best teacher ever. So it makes a guy feel pretty good. All right, we're gonna start with these two. A sick day for Amos McGee and Amos McGee misses the bus. So we are doing a Caldecott unit, and some of the other books in here are also part of that, where we talk about the best picture books of the year, and we'll do that in January. So I've been reading them a bunch of the awesome 2021 picture books. And so obviously, if I'm going to read them this one, I need to read them this one. If you don't know Amos McGee, you're missing out. They are amazing. We were actually walking around the track the other day during mask break, and one of my fifth graders, and this is such a cool question, he said, Mr. Sharp, if you could spend a day inside the world of any book, what book would you spend a day in? And now that is a fun question to think about. And I told him, I think I would spend a day with Amos McGee and his friends, because I just love the pace, I love the style, I love everything about these books. And I would want to just like hang out with Amos and the rhinoceros and the tortoise. It just sounds magical. So we read these, they're amazing, phenomenal. Absolutely love them. Next up, a little more serious. We read Most People at the beginning of the month, right after the school shootings at Oxford schools. It's like 80 or so miles away. We read Most People. And I don't even know how many of my kids at that moment had heard about what had happened. I think we read it the next day, but my heart was just really heavy, and I wanted to think about the good that is in this world. If you haven't read this book, it just talks about how most people in the world are great. And yes, while some people make bad choices, most people are awesome. And sometimes we don't always feel that way. So it was a helpful book to me, and hopefully it'll latch on to some of them when they're having a tough time with someone. Most people. Is that beautiful? All right, next up, Inside Cat, Brennan Wenzel. This book has my favorite, let's show you the cool case. Isn't that cool? This is another one of our Mott Caldecott books. Super fun book. The art is just amazing. Super fun. And this, my friend Travis Yonker and I, we do the Yarn podcast together, and we are about to do our end of the year, like best of, and we have all these fun categories. And one of the categories is the best page turn. The page turn in this book that goes from like the second to last spread to the last spread is my favorite page turn of the year. So if you haven't read this, read this and be paying attention for this beautiful page turn. Even like the text and the pictures, it's just magical. Inside Cat, I love this book. Next up, one of my favorite illustrators on the planet is Deborah Friedman. So of course we had to read her book. Check out this case. Deborah Friedman is just a gift to readers everywhere. Was another classic from her. I feel like her books are just like always going to be great, like forever. Was is no exception. Read this book with kids, it's super awesome. All right, next up is Bright Star. Oh, dang. This also might have the best page turn. I'm gonna have to think about this. Yes, so going from this page to the next page, dang. I'm gonna have to think about that. Dang, so many great books. So check out the case here. Also on our Mott Caldecott list, I feel like this really has a good shot at winning. The more I read it, the more I fall in love with it. It's pretty intense, pretty beautiful. The back matter is really important in here, like what she talked about, the why she made this book. Read this, and touch your heart, break your heart. Beautiful book. Next up, Mel Fell. I love books like this that you read like this. This one's been getting a lot of Caldecott buzz, so you read it like this. And then there's even a page where you have to like turn it. Oh, the kids loved it. So Mel Fell, another beautiful 2021 picture book on our Mott Caldecott list. If I remember, I will try to put the Mott Caldecott list in the description. When I make this same video in January, a lot of the Mott Caldecott books will be in there as well, because I try to read all of the books to my students before we do all the Mott Caldecott work, so the first time they hear the stories, we can just enjoy them. But Mel Fell is on the list, as is Stroller Coaster. This book is just like so visually fun. and happy and bright, and it just warms my soul. This book warms my soul. I love it. It is just picture book brilliance. If you haven't read this, it's by Matt Ringler, Roel III, and Elaine Bay. You should read it and read it with kids because it's super fun. I read a book about like pushing around a stroller to fifth graders and we loved it. Picture books, y'all. Picture books. Next up, Inside Outside. If you've read this book, you probably loved it. By Leywin Fan. But if you read this book, so I read this book, I think the people who are the absolute perfect audience, fifth graders. Because fifth graders were at the end of their third grade year when the pandemic hit hard here in the United States. And they were sent home in March, never to see their classmates in person again, to missing out on the rest of that in-person year, and then to have a really weird fourth grade year. And now what's going on in their fifth grade year, the things they've given up, the things that have been hard, like this book really hit home. I was very silent in here when I read this. Just a lot of blank, just like sad faces and silence. It's a really beautiful book. Quickly becoming one of my favorite books of the year. Like I loved it, and then I read it with kids and I was just like, whoa. Inside, Outside. And then finally, Snowmen at Night. This is the book we read today, right before they left. And the reason that I read it is because a fifth grader asked me to. And when a fifth grader goes to the library, checks out a book, and then brings it back and says, Mr. Sharp, will you please read this to the class? There's really only one answer. And that answer is yes. It was fun. It was fun to read a rhyming book. It was fun to see a little bit of snow. We've had a pretty brown December here in Michigan. Snowmen at Night was so much fun to read. I'm actually going to take this home and read it with my own kids tonight. My little ones, my 7 and 4-year-old, I think they'll really like it. So those are the 10 picture books that I read to my fifth graders in the month of December. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you are doing awesome and sharing great books with the readers in your life. My name is Colby Sharp. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you have an awesome, fantastic day.